I think the subject of haunted dolls has been a much more popular subject as compared to haunted buildings or castles. And what further boosts the hype around this subject are the countless reports of negative encounters people have had with certain dolls from various parts of the world. Around the 19th century, dolls started looking more like real people. Plus, many people were intrigued by these creepy things. Some were even obsessed with the uncomfortable feeling these dolls brought along with their almost human-like faces and proceeded to keep a collection of them. The empty eyes, the vacant stare, and the human-like bodies were certainly the top listers in this context. On top of that, people have connected dolls with numerous rituals, endless folklore tales, and of course, many cultural beliefs. So here are our top 10 dolls that have gone beyond the usual creepiness and gained worldwide attention for being haunted. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
The doll. It's a beacon for other spirits.
Annabelle. Ever since 1970, people have strongly believed this doll to be haunted. It's been accused of causing demonic possession, violent attacks, and even deaths. Annabelle's story is so rich that it even inspired wildly famous horror movies. But is any of this true? Is Annabelle really possessed by a demon looking for a person to possess? Or is she just a doll being used like a prop to make up spooky stories that make a lot of money? Well, as the story goes, back in 1970, a 28-year-old nurse named Donna was given a Raggedy Ann doll by her mother on her birthday. Thrilled with the gift, she brought the doll back to an apartment she shared with her friend Angie. At first, this doll was a beautiful decoration, but soon they noticed the doll was moving by itself and would end up in different rooms than where Donna left it. They even found parchment papers lying around the house with "Help Me" written on them, which was very unsettling, given the girls never had those papers in the house. Things finally got out of hand when one day, Angie's boyfriend Lou came into the house while the girls were out and heard rustling sounds from Donna's bedroom. He first thought someone had broken into the house, but after checking the room, Lou found no sign of forced entry. But he did see Donna's Ann doll lying on the floor and picked it up. Out of nowhere, Lou felt a stinging pain on his chest, only to find bloody claw marks running across. But 2 days later, these marks simply vanished, scaring the living shit out of them. So Donna got in touch with a medium who held a seance in their apartment. Through this, the women found out that apparently the doll was being inhabited by a little girl named Annabelle Higgins. Apparently, 7-year-old Annabelle had died on the same site Donna's apartment was built on. According to this medium, it was a benevolent spirit who just wanted to be loved. But Donna got scared and contacted a priest about getting rid of Annabelle's spirit from her house. It was this priest who got in touch with Ed and Lorraine Warren, who came in for a visit. As soon as they saw the doll, they knew the doll was being possessed by a demonic force in search of a human host. After exorcising the hell out of Donna's apartment, they took the doll with them and later encased it in a glass case inscribed with the Lord's Prayer. Although she was trapped, she still managed to continue her demonic antics. Once, a priest visited the Warrens' museum and didn't take Annabelle's supposed demonic powers seriously. Even though Ed warned him not to mock Annabelle, the priest just laughed it off. But on his way home, he got into a really bad crash that wrecked his brand new car. This would have been purely accidental if the priest had not said he saw Annabelle in his rearview mirror right before the accident. Again, years later, another person banged on Annabelle's glass case and joked about how silly it was to believe in her. On the way home, he lost control of his motorcycle, crashed into a tree, and died on the spot. But somehow his girlfriend survived. Apparently, before the crash, the couple were joking about Annabelle. All thanks to the Conjuring franchise, Annabelle has now become a big part of pop culture, even starring in her own spin-off films. But unlike the movie version with its porcelain skin and realistic features, the actual Annabelle doll currently resides in the Warrens Occult Museum. Robert the Doll. This 120-year-old doll is famed as one of the most malevolent toys who has been blamed for many broken marriages, fatal injuries, and even car accidents. This little boy in a sailor suit has earned a reputation for being the harbinger of misfortune, as he sported a creepy smile while clinging onto his toy dog with big bulging eyes. Currently at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, Robert is living his days inside a new display case with humidity control and UV filtering glass to preserve him. Despite his fancy living conditions, Robert's mischievous behavior hasn't changed, as the museum still receives reports of strange events linked to the doll. Before coming to the museum, Robert belonged to Robert Eugene Otto, an unusual artist from a well-known Key West family. The doll was a birthday gift from Otto's grandfather, who bought it in Germany. Apparently, the bond between the boy and the doll was unbreakable, with young Gene often blaming his mischievous acts on the doll. Family members claimed that the doll would mysteriously change positions on its own, and when alone in his room, they heard Gene speaking to the doll, who seemed to reply in a different voice. Gene's eerie relationship with his doll continued even after he grew up to become a famous painter and writer. In his grand home, the artist's house, Robert would place the doll by an upstairs window, where it seemed to come to life. Even as an adult, Gene took his doll along everywhere he went and treated it like a living entity. After Robert's passing in 1974, Myrtle Reuter bought the artist's house and became the caretaker of Robert the Doll. She often reported hearing footsteps, creaking noises, and laughter from the attic. Some people even claimed that the doll's expressions changed whenever someone dissed Otto in its presence. Reuter apparently witnessed Robert moving throughout the house, and after almost 2 decades of Robert's antics, she decided to donate the doll to the museum in 1994. Since then, Robert has become one of Key West's most renowned attractions. Both visitors and museum staff have reported witnessing Robert's facial expressions change and seeing him move on his own. Those who have taken his picture without permission have recounted strange experiences later. Apparently, even ghost hunters have observed Robert's chest moving as if he's breathing. According to Robert's caretaker, Convertio, the museum receives 1 to 3 letters daily from people apologizing and seeking forgiveness if their actions disrespected him. These letters often describe unfortunate events such as bankruptcies, flight cancellations, accidents, divorces, and sudden illnesses. Despite the varied nature of these events, they all share a common plea for Robert to end their misfortunes and lift the curse. Mandy. Made in England or Germany between 1910 and 1920, Mandy is a porcelain baby doll that found her way to the Quesnel Museum in 1991, although her exact origins remain a mystery. According to legend, a little girl was locked inside a basement with her doll and lost her life there. Her soul inhabited the doll, and after her body was found, the doll cried tears of blood. Nobody knows if this is true, but Mandy was apparently found in the basement of a house. Her owner would often wake up to the noise of a baby constantly crying. So, a plethora of incidents later, she donated it to the museum. Although her crying stopped after coming to the museum, the staff often found objects randomly missing, and later they would often hear footsteps. She even had a tendency to cause electrical devices and cameras to malfunction. Mandy, with her toy lamb, was then encased in a different part of the museum. People often say that her porcelain eyes seem to unnervingly follow them around, and that she makes her visitors feel unusually sad. Numerous reports also claim that the lamb has been seen outside the case, and that Mandy often throws a tantrum at night by tapping the glass till a museum worker picks her up and calms her down. While her actions don't appear evil, Mandy undeniably craves attention. To mitigate any potential damage, the museum staff often keep her separated from other dolls, as nearby displays often suffer damages when she's around. Okiku. In 1918, a 17-year-old boy named Eikichi Suzuki bought a doll during his visit to Sapporo. This doll was a special gift for his 2-year-old sister, Okiku. Initially, the doll had a popular Japanese hairstyle called okappa, resembling a bob cut, stood 40 centimeters tall, and wore a beautiful kimono. Her eyes, deep and penetrating like burning coals, held a captivating allure that seemed to draw everything into their gaze. Okiku cherished her new doll, and it became her constant companion until tragedy struck. At just 3 years old, Okiku passed away suddenly after brutally suffering from an incurable flu. Devastated by her loss, Okiku's family placed her favorite doll on their household altar, where they prayed in her memory. But soon they began noticing that the doll's hair began to grow longer. Convinced that Okiku's restless spirit now resided in her beloved doll, the family continued to care for it. In 1938, when the family relocated to Iwamizawa in Hokkaido, they entrusted the doll to the Manenji Temple, where she remains revered to this day under the name Okiku. Some believe that the continuously growing hair on the doll's head is indeed the hair of Okiku, and apparently the hair has reportedly undergone laboratory testing, confirming it is indeed human hair. Even after Okiku found sanctuary in Manenji Temple, her hair never stopped growing. It's said that her originally cropped hair grew nearly 10 inches, reaching down to her knees shortly after her arrival at the temple. Since then, her hair has continued to grow at a rapid pace, requiring regular trimming to prevent it from becoming unmanageable. According to legend, the priest responsible for trimming her hair received a message from Okiku in his dreams, urging him to keep her hair in check.
Has he affected other people the same way?
Oh, lots of people. How many people like
Lea the Doll. Lea is an ancient marionette believed to have originated from Eastern Europe and estimated to be over 200 years old. This doll was uncovered beneath an abandoned house in Wagga Wagga, Australia by Kerry Walton, who was visiting home for his grandmother's funeral. Lea has since then gained notoriety for the unsettling events surrounding him. Kerry Walton has openly discussed the frightening repercussions of having Lea as objects mysteriously move, items inexplicably fall from walls, and people and animals often exhibit distressing behavior in its presence. Despite his attempts to sell Lea, Kerry has experienced a sudden change in his mind, feeling incapable of following up with his decision, just like he felt the unavoidable need to bring Lea home from that abandoned house. This doll is distinguished by his creepy head of human hair and purported abilities to cause rain when taken outdoors. Kerry named the doll Lea as being short for "Let Me Out" because he often has heard the doll say that. Apparently, he has also seen Lea move in front of others and leave visible marks around the house floors. According to some psychic, Lea was actually made by a Romanian gypsy for her son, who drowned in a tragic accident. Gypsies often believed that dolls could act as a new home for the dead, and given Lea's human hair and a scalp hiding something like a human brain, it might not be a false thing to believe in. Most importantly, nothing evil has happened around Lea yet. In fact, if anything, Lea has only boosted Kerry's collectible business. Joliet. As strange as this might sound, Joliet has been a part of a family's lineage for 4 generations now, being passed down from mother to daughter. However, inheriting Joliet is a curse rather than a blessing. Currently owned by Anna, the doll was actually a gift from a jealous family friend to Anna's great-grandmother during her baby shower. Soon after Joliet entered the family, a curse dictated a tragic pattern on them where each woman in the family, beginning with Anna's great-grandmother, would bear 1 son and 1 daughter. Tragically, the sons would mysteriously pass away exactly 3 days after birth, while the daughters grew up to carry on the curse. This tragic cycle repeated through generations, affecting Anna's grandmother, mother, and eventually herself, as she too experienced the loss of her 3-day-old newborn and then later gave birth to a daughter. The doll is believed to house the spirits of these deceased children, a fact that the family adamantly refuses to ignore. They claim to hear multiple cries emanating from Joliet, each cry representing one of the deceased baby boys. At night, they apparently hear eerie sounds of crying and laughter echo through the room where Joliet is. Despite the ominous history, the family remains glued to their decision to keep Joliet as part of their legacy, even after knowing that Anna's daughter will one day inherit the cursed doll, perpetuating the cycle. Palau Ubin Barbie. Barbies are unarguably every girl's Roman Empire. It's so popular that even the ghost of a dead girl requested a Barbie from beyond her grave. At the turn of the 20th century, legend has it that in July 1914, amidst rising security concerns, the British authorities began detaining Germans, considering them enemies of the crown. So a military operation was sent to Palau Ubin to arrest the two German families residing there. Allegedly, the detained Germans were transferred to a detention facility on mainland Singapore, primarily at the Tanglan Barracks. However, the detention process took a dramatic turn when a young girl from one of the families, overwhelmed by fear, escaped from the British forces into the dense forested area and vanished into the darkness. After several days of searching, it became apparent that the young girl had tragically fallen from a cliff and died. Her lifeless body, discovered by Boyanese plantation workers, was found covered in ants near one of the quarries vital to the island's community. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the workers respectfully covered her with sand and adorned her resting place with flowers. Each time they passed by the area, they offered prayers and lit incense in her memory. For a time, Palau Ubin served as her final resting place, until Chinese laborers recovered her remains and chose to bury her on a hill overlooking the quarry, in accordance with her Roman Catholic faith. Alongside her Jiangsu urn, they placed a crucifix, several coins, and a few strands of her hair, honoring her memory and providing a serene resting place overlooking the island's landscape. The Barbie doll did not replace the girl's urn until 2007, when a man claimed to have been visited by the spirit of the young white girl for 3 consecutive nights, instructing him to procure a specific Barbie doll. So, he bought her the Barbie and placed it at the shrine as a symbolic representation of the girl. Now the shrine, housed within a sturdy hardwood structure erected in place of a small yellow hut, serves as a solemn tribute to the unnamed German girl. Visitors honor her memory by leaving various offerings at the altar, including candles, fruits, perfumes, nail polish, and lipstick. Harold appears innocent at first glance, but he has been the harbinger of death in every house that took him in. Haunted Harold was the first haunted doll to be listed on eBay, which was posted by a guy who bought Harold from a shabby flea market for just $20. Apparently, a desperate father wanted to get rid of the doll after believing it to be the cause of his son's death. He even tried to burn it down, but the doll was impossible to destroy. The seller initially dismissed warnings about Harold's eerie nature. However, his skepticism evaporated when his cat died 2 days after he got Harold home. His girlfriend apparently left him for a pool guy, and he then started having chronic migraines. One day, when he heard unsettling sounds of a baby laughing and crying, and even sensed a pulse emanating from the doll, he kept Harold enclosed in an armadillo coffin in his basement for a year. The doll was sold for $300 from this listing, but over time, Harold changed hands multiple times, each owner struggling to tackle the fate this doll brings. Apparently, 2 people who have simply seen Harold have died due to mysterious illnesses and accidents. Plus, the doll exhibits autonomous movement, speaks, and its facial expressions change daily. Mysterious ailments such as severe headaches, migraines, and back pains plague its owners, sometimes resulting in unexplained injuries. Presently, Harold is owned by Anthony Quinata, who documents his interactions with Harold on a YouTube channel for the world to see. Pupa may appear as the most adorable doll on this list, but don't be deceived by her charming appearance. The name Pupa comes from Latin, meaning doll, and she was custom-made to resemble an Italian girl during the 1920s. The girl's hair was even used to fashion Pupa's own hair to create the perfect resemblance. The young owner of Pupa believed the doll spoke to her, although it was likely a product of the child's imagination. However, after the owner passed away from old age in 2005, Pupa's strange behavior came to light. Placed inside a glass container by her next of kin, Pupa has been known to frequently change positions and alter her facial expressions. Objects within the container are often said to shift inexplicably, and on occasion, Pupa taps against the glass, seemingly indicating a desire to be released from her coffin. The family have reported seeing Pupa's hands pressed against the glass, and one of them even captured Pupa moving on camera. But when the footage was uploaded, it inexplicably appeared covered in a white film with the words "Pupa No" scrawled across it. This incident only fueled the belief that Pupa possessed a mind of her own, as her owner had often remarked. The Island of the Dolls. Located on the canals near Mexico City, this island has earned a reputation as one of the creepiest destinations worldwide. The unsettling story dates back to the 1950s, when Julian Santana Barrera left his family and retreated to the isolated island. The legend recounts that after discovering the lifeless body of a drowned girl, Barrera hung up her doll in a tree as a tribute to her memory and spirit. However, things took a haunting turn when the doll began moving and making weird noises, sparking Barrera's lifelong obsession with adorning the island's trees with dolls. In a tragic twist of fate, Barrera's own demise mirrored that of the girl's. In 2001, his body was found drowned in the same spot where he had discovered the girls' bodies years before. Today, Barrera's family manages the island, offering ferry services to tourists who come to witness the countless dolls strewn across the island's landscape. According to local lore, these dolls have been known to whisper and exhibit mysterious movements, further contributing to the island's chilling ambience. So that's our list for the top 10 haunted dolls which you should probably not screw with if you ever visit. But do let us know, if given the chance, which doll would you like to invite for a sleepover? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.